Of all the various Ben 10 aliens, one whose biology has perplexed me for the longest time of all has been Heatblast.
Knew I should have bought those asbestos seat covers when I had the chance.
Pyronite biology confuses me because, well, what's even going on here? Are there bones inside of these things? They can clearly age, so how do they reproduce and give birth? For the longest time, Pyronite biology has left me absolutely stumped, and I was ashamed to admit it. However, as the title and thumbnail would suggest, I think I've finally managed to crack the code in the biology of an alien that has vexed me for over a decade. Without further ado, let's get right into our analysis and explanation of Pyronite biology. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and now, it's hero time!
What are you?
Crab people.
To quickly discuss an older theory I had before coming to the realization that I'll primarily be discussing in this video, I once thought that perhaps Pyronites have stars for hearts, something that sounds ridiculous until you remember that Astrodactyl is confirmed to have a star for a heart. Pyronites literally live on a giant star, and having stars for hearts would explain their fiery abilities, so it makes some sense. However, that's not our primary theory today, just something I thought I'd throw out there for the sake of saying it. Now let's talk about the good stuff. Crabs! There exists a primordial force in our world wherein all life converges upon the evolutionary path of crab.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better!
This process is referred to as carcinization. Basically, carcinization is the process whereby unrelated species evolve into crab-like life forms. The fact that this phenomenon has a dedicated name should already be an indicator to you of how often this has happened. In fact, different crustacean species have evolved into crabs on at least 5 different occasions, those being sponge crabs, porcelain crabs, king crabs, Australian hairy stone crabs, and, well, actual crabs. None of these guys are strictly related, yet each of them have reached the evolutionary pinnacle that is crab.
Them stone crabs! Really good, mate, really good.
This is to say, carcinization is a process that has happened on more than one occasion on Earth, and so we should consider the possibility that perhaps it happens in space as well, which, I mean, just look at Brainstorm and Crab for proof that carcinization happens on other alien planets in the Ben 10 universe. Pretty concrete evidence there. I don't think anyone can really reasonably deny that, but I mean, feel free to try in the comments. This is where we focus in our attention on Pyros and the life forms that inhabit it. First of all, let's bring up the rhinoceros in the room, Dozer.
Oh yeah!
Dozer quite literally has crab in the name, and displays several crustacean adaptations, those being its sturdy exoskeleton that protects the soft body underneath, several pairs of plantigrade legs, teeth-like structures but not actual teeth, and sharp exoskeletal spikes. However, unlike crabs, Dozer here is quite unfazed by temperature changes, being comfortable on both the flaming surface of Pyros and in the frigid vacuum of space. Whereas real crabs just kind of, well, they only really like the cold.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
But hey, perhaps that is an adaptation of Dozer. Perhaps this thick armor plating somehow sheds heat incredibly efficiently in order to keep the body at such a low temperature, resulting in their ability to just shake off Pyronite flames. It would also explain their comfortability in space and on Pyros' surface, as they could maintain a cool body temperature at all times, which would also mean that they could eat Pyronites without burning their insides to dust. Anyway, I bring up Dozer just to set the precedent that crustacean-adjacent life forms have been confirmed to exist on Pyros within the canon of the Ben 10 franchise. So with that knowledge in mind, let's turn to the Pyronites now. Firstly, I've been under the impression that the body of a Pyronite is composed of rocks, but maybe these aren't actually rocks, but rather some kind of exoskeletal armor like that found in species of crustacean. We know that this plating is clearly there to protect something inside, as Heatblast has been shown to possess a tongue, which means he probably has an entire system of flaming organs in there, somewhere, and we can even confirm that there are some kind of organs in there because otherwise, how the hell are these things reproducing?
Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog!
It would make sense that such things would need to be protected, so that explains the armor. We discussed earlier how crabs aren't all that good with temperature, so honestly I feel like it makes sense for a species of crustacean on such a flaming hot alien world to evolve the ability to manipulate heat as a way to survive the harsh temperatures. What better way to adapt to your environment than to physically gain mastery over the elements within it? I'd say such a drastic evolutionary path is near impossible, but I have to remind myself that these are aliens here, and there's other aliens who gained elemental mastery simply by existing on planets with such conditions. Fun fact, some species of crustacean have been shown to live in environments surrounding underwater volcanic vents, so it clearly isn't as if all crustacean adjacent life forms are naturally vulnerable to heat, which I think lends credence to my theory here. On top of all this, my biggest question since the beginning has been, how do these guys move? Are there bones in there? Do they use pyrokinesis to make themselves move? How does it work? I believe I have a pretty compelling answer for this, so hear me out here. Arachnophobes, I suggest you be wary of this next segment, but please bear with me because it isn't actually what you think it is.
Knock, knock, let the devil in.
This here is a sea spider, and though it looks like a spider, it is actually a form of crustacean. See? Not a spider at all, in fact. Fun fact about these guys is that all of their organs exist in their limbs, and they even use their limbs to breathe. See, oxygen travels along the surface area of the legs, where intestinal pouches diffuse the oxygen and allow the body to breathe. If we apply this logic to our pyronites here, we get a few things. Oxygen is one of the most vital components to create fire. If oxygen naturally travels across the surface area of a pyronite, and there exist organs inside that can take in and redistribute that oxygen, then not only could that absorbed oxygen be used in order to allow the pyronite to breathe, but it would also be supplying a constant source of oxygen to fuel the flames that pour out of a pyronite's body. Bear in mind, Heatblast has always had a raspy voice, so perhaps this is why. Oxygen isn't given exclusively to the lungs, but also distributed out into the flames created by the body, resulting in a more ragged style of breathing as a result of this shared resource.
Hey, I'm on fire, and I'm okay. Check it out.
What's even more, sea spider legs are actually mostly hollow, filled almost entirely with blood. Only minimal amounts of muscle exist inside the legs, acting as hydraulic pumps that move the blood around inside the legs, with the generated push being what powers the legs to move, meaning that their bodies move entirely through the use of hydraulic pressure. If we assume that perhaps Heatblast works the same way, then maybe instead of blood flowing around inside of their body, their insides are full of magma, which the muscles push around inside the body in order to create the hydraulic pressure required to move. This would explain practically every aspect of Pyronite biology, and I'd say it's pretty darn conclusive. But with all of that said, that is about all I have to say with this video. Feel free to leave your own thoughts and theories in the comment section below, subscribe and like if you haven't already, and with that, let's move into our usual post-video rituals. First of all, a big shout out to our channel's Thunderbeasts, Charscream AA, Riopol Zorus, Utimit, Captain San Sandwich, Victor Matusik, and Minil Muir. If you want to help support the channel like these lovely people, please consider becoming a channel member today in order to get exclusive benefits like sneak peek preview posts of my upcoming videos. Now, let's go over last video's poll, where I asked you guys if you preferred Grandpa Max's OS design, his future OS design, his UAF design, or his Omniverse design. With 1.8k total votes, 76% of you said OS Grandpa Max, which doesn't surprise me in the least, 3% said future OS Max, 13% said UAF Max, and 8% of you said OV Max. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Omniverse Max. His clothes being such clashing colours makes him stand out even more, and I love how jolly he looks. It just really sells the vibe that he's an old man comfy with his life. I love him. He's a cherished being. So now let's give a big shout out to everyone who guessed that I preferred Omniverse Max. Big shout out to, well, nobody. Nobody guessed this one correctly this time, so I guess I was just plain unpredictable. But our shout out segment isn't done because we are still yet to go over last video's secret message. So, big shout out to Volt N95, Some Random Kid, Daniel88476, Caramola, Nick Femboy2000, Alice Rad, Yamato9753, Mink11037, and Kia5884. Congrats, guys. Now we get to hear this. As usual, there is another secret message hidden somewhere in this video, so leave that in a comment below in order to get a guaranteed shout out in my next discussion video. And now, to finish things off, this video's poll. Do you guys prefer Ball Weevil, Walker Trout, Molestache, or the worst? Basically, which one of the intentionally weak, gimmicky Omniverse aliens is your favourite? Leave a comment below and or on the poll guessing which one I like the most for a chance to get a shout out in my next discussion video, and with all of that said, I'll be seeing you all next time. Adios, fellow heroes.